What are we doing today, guys? Well, we're going to look at this Tepe Design Tonto. This is the TS175. You see it spinning around in front of you right now. This thing is a beast of a button lock tactical folder. So we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about it here. You already got a quick look at it. Let's turn this around and look at it from above. We'll get some specs and stuff like that. This is the full review. So here comes that logo. Yeah, guys, it didn't take long to get back around to this Tepe design. This is the TS175 in D2 it's designed by Tepe Designs. Now, we're going to look at some good, we're going to look at some bad, but this is a beast of a button lock knife. But the first thing we're going to look at here, over here on the right, is a spec sheet. I will try to find the best, most inclusive spec sheet I can. But this is a big monster beast of a tactical button lock folder. So first things first, let's get some size comparisons out of the way. Your first knife's gonna be another large Tonto, which is the Cold Steel Voyager series Tonto. Very, very good size comparison. As you can see, almost 1-for-1 on this. This is not a small knife by any stretch of the imagination. As you can see, this is just about a 1-for-1 in length. But this is a beefier knife than the Voyager. Your next knife is going to be the Miguron Valona, which is a 9-inch knife. So if you look, that is 1-for-1. I did not look up the specs yet on this, except for just some minor things. So this is about 1-for-1 on this. The Miguron may be ever so slightly longer, but big, big, big knife here, guys. And so your final knife, as always, is the Chris Reeves large Sabenza 21, so not a small knife by any stretch. This is a big beefy knife, not only in length, but just all dimensions. So let's get this out of the way and start talking about this really attractive, I almost want to say vintage looking knife. So let's get this out of the way and talk about this knife. So let's crack into this. You are looking at a titanium and micarta bolstered button lock. So it is got an integral bolster in the liners, nice titanium backspacer with a lanyard post. So good looking knife. Action on this is amazing. This is a very good, very well done button lock with a Tonto blade done in D2. Now this is an Americanized Tonto, but it has a true Japanese style Tonto grind because it has a Yokote right here, which is the thick spot. If you could see right here, this grind terminates here and this grind terminates here. They both marry up to that marriage point. So that piece right there is actually a little thicker. And in an Americanized Tonto, what that does is it gives you a little bit of support right here. So that part is not going to dull as easily. D2 on this is done with a dark stonewash, some sort of coating that has been then stonewashed to give it that appearance, but it's going to give you a little bit of corrosion prevention. Not a lot, but a little. D2 does have a tendency to corrode. Overall looks on this knife are great, but what it really performs well at is cutting. Because you've got this big beefy knife, you can get a very good purchase on it, and the blade has been ground very, very well, and it comes down really, really sharp. It's not super thin behind the edge, but it is adequate. The edge geometry on it is good for an overall heavy use knife. And this, like I said, this having a true Yokote instead of just only being the edge grind, making that marriage means that this is going to stay a little bit stronger at that secondary point than it would if it was just a flat grind. You can absolutely feel that. There is no jimping, which I'm a fan of. If you're not going to do jimping the right way, just not to do any. Knives truly don't need that much jimping unless you're absolutely hard using them. The handles come down very secure. It's nice. It comes up a lot like this style handle where it comes up and you're pushed kind of in here, but the fact that there's no flipper on this means that there's no sharp spots because there's no jimping. This nice fat handle back here makes it feel really secure. No chance that feels like it's going to come out of hand in use. The button lock on it is great, and aesthetically it is amazing. There are very little flaws in this. There are very few things that I could quote to saying that I don't like about this knife. You have this very well done softening and machining that's done on this that makes it look worn and weathered, where it comes down And in this, you don't have any sharp spots. It just looks like something that has been used to the point where it's been smooth, but you can see that it's all just been done with micro milling. Let me zoom in and you can see. So all of that is just micro milling that has been used to soften that up. You have to really look hard to see it, but the micro milling on that and the milling that they did on this gives it a very softened appearance. The button lock is good. It's a nice deep push on that button, so there's not much of a chance that if you were to accidentally push on that, like say you were using this left-handed and you got up on it, there's not really any chance that knife is going to come unlocked. You may get a little blade play, but you have to really depress that button to get it to come loose. Some of the newer plunger locks and button locks, but the same thing, are doing a really good job on that. Some of the older button locks, it didn't take a lot to disengage the button. It just was not as robust. This one, that's why you have this raised area here, because it allows a large travel of that. You can disengage the lock and use it like you would a axis lock where you can fidget with it. It's not as easy with this one because it's not as easy on camera, I should say, because it's a large knife, but drop shut action once you push that button, and the thumb studs are just about perfect. They stand proud of the scales ever so slightly, but not enough that they get in the way of things. I don't think it would be any impedance to anything you would do, and they are big enough that you get really good purchase on it. Just like everything on this knife, big and beefy. It is basically an overbuilt button lock, but then you get these aesthetics. Like I like the logo here. I like the printing on this, the way they did the blade. I like the Tepe Designs logo because this feels like a World War II throwback to me. And all of the things on it, like these markings, this looks like a case head stamp off of a round for a pew-pew. This looks like something you would see from like the French infantry or something, or the French air wing or something like that. We got very military looking markings on it. And I think they just kind of doubled down on that. But like I said, this looks like a case head stamp for a round for a rifle. And then you have here where it looks like it's been fired. I found that to be aesthetically very, very pleasing. And it goes along with the lines of the knife. So everything so far about this knife has been great. I did a lot of cutting with it. And like I said, in hand, super comfortable. You can definitely get up on this and use it for some heavy, heavy cutting. And the D2 on this was done very well. It came very sharp. I'm presuming that this is still a factory edge. It does not look like one of Jared's second, aftermarket edges. And it is really sharp, and it held that edge very well. This cut a good bit of cardboard. As a matter of fact, I had to do a lot of cleanup on this to get rid of a bunch of the abrasives and stuff or adhesive and stuff like that. I did have a couple spots here and here that had started to get a little bit of rust, just a little bit of surface rust on it. But when I cut all that cardboard with it, it just kind of rubbed off, and then I cleaned it the rest of the way up just with a rubber pencil eraser. So the steel on it, the coating on it seems to have done a good bit because I can make D2 rust really easily. So there's all the good things. Now, like I always say, if you're going to be honest, you're always going to find a few bad things. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to turn this around and we're going to look at the stuff that might not necessarily be bad, but just a little bit on the negative side. So flip side of the coin, flip side of the knife. There are only a couple things about this knife that I would consider bad. There's most of them are just objective things for me, personal opinions, and most of them are aesthetic issues. But there is one issue that really does bother me, and it's this single point pocket clip. I am not a fan of a single point pocket clip unless it is sunk very, very deeply into a channel or a cutout where you've got it in there very, very well. This looks very much as if it was either surface mounted or possibly a shallow cutout. I have not taken it off, but I have tightened it. So you can see this pocket clip has a good bit of move. What I'd be afraid of is that you actually spin it all the way around and damage any little cutout that was on this. So that's something that does drive me nuts, is when pocket clips do that. I know it doesn't bother a lot of people, but it does definitely bother me. Now, the other couple things are just aesthetics. Well, let's get into this one. This thing is big. This is not a little knife. That is one of the bad things about it. If you wanted to carry this knife, there's a lot of places where it would be not acceptable socially to have this knife come out of your pocket. Now, I don't have a problem with it, and I'm a big guy, so I can carry a big knife. But I do have to say, this is a pocket hog. This is one of those knives that I had a hard time carrying anything else in my pocket. I like to carry a couple knives for review. Just to give you a perspective, that is the Monterey Bay Knives, a slayback, which has been spending some time in my pocket since Saturday, when Sanford gave this to me on the channel. This is not a small knife either, but you can see that this thing is just massive. I mean, even the 9-inch Valona next to it is still nowhere near the dimensions. So it does take up a lot of space in pocket. Now, if that doesn't bother you, that's not an issue, but these are just things that I like to bring and point out. The last couple things are purely aesthetic. There are a couple little flaws in the meetup and marriage of the materials. One side is definitely better than the other one. You can pull it up and you can see that side looks pretty good, but when you flip it here, you can see that there's some gaps and some height issues and some height differences on this. Functionally, does not affect the knife at all. But, you know, one of those things where when you're paying for a knife, I'll put the price up here. When you're paying for a knife, when you get to a certain point, you're like, I kind of want that to be as perfect as possible. And the other thing is the button is great when it's closed. When the knife is closed, you have a very good symmetry here. When this knife is open, as with a lot of button locks, it stands a little proud, and they did do some softening on this. And some chamfering, but you can see that's still a very hard edge right there. And so, you can definitely feel it when you get on it. It just stands out pretty well, pretty high. In contrast, this one, see what I'm saying? Like, that button is every bit as accessible, but it's definitely not as sharp and tall. I think it would have been aesthetically a little bit better, and in hand maybe a little bit better. Because if you get your thumb on it, you can definitely feel that right there. Like that stands out a little bit. So other than that, just like I said, the size and stuff like that. And I honestly prefer a knife in a drop. I'm not a big fan of the American Tonto style blade. I don't find it as attractive as other blades, and I don't find it as useful for me because a lot of times I do a lot of work where I'm cutting on things, and then this winds up being the spot that gets dull. And the only way to fix a dull spot here is to sharpen both edges in their entirety, especially on one like this that has a true yokote, where you have to make sure that point marries up with the thick spot or you get weirdness. So overall, great knife. It's a very beautiful knife. If you're looking for something that is an awesome vintage looking piece, this looks like a World War II throwback. Like I said before, it's a lot of fun. And it does cut really well. But this is not a knife that, due to the weight and size, I don't think I would purchase this because it just doesn't fit my day-to-day needs these days. I still do like big knives, but I'm into the larger knives that are a lot more slender, or something that's a lot smaller like this, or like this, the Hogue. So yeah, all in all, really good knife. I would never try to dissuade you from purchasing it. So let's go ahead and turn this around, do some final thoughts, and send you out about your day. So back at the grind, getting these reviews done. I really did like this knife. I'm really glad that Jared sent it to me. It's a little bit bigger than I typically would carry right now. There's a lot of things that I've definitely shifted my EDC options down to something that's a little bit smaller. Even though I'm a big guy and I can carry a large knife, I find that I have a little bit more, I get a little bit more use out of a more mid-sized, smaller knife. So I guess I've reached that point in my life where I've went from sports cars to hatchbacks. So that's where I'm at right now. The same thing in my knife life. So guys, that's it on this one. If you like the videos, give them a thumbs up. If you don't like them, give them a thumbs down. But please try to tell me why. I can't change the content if you don't tell me what you don't like. If you want to support the channel, it's as simple as like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon. If you do hit the bell icon, make sure you've got it set for all and that you've got notifications turned on your device so you get notified of all 5 videos and 3 live feeds that go up every week. And I'm gonna try and start adding some more stuff in if I can get on top of that content. So other ways you can support the channel if you want to do it financially, there's a ton of affiliate links down below. All of them support the channel directly and don't cost you anything at checkout. And as a matter of fact, I've got 3 of them that save you money directly at checkout. That is Dollstrong knives. If you're looking for really good stones, they've got them. Looking for like really good kitchen knives for the home chef, they got those too. Coffee Brand Coffee, which is a coffee I drink here in the shop. I got a cup of it over there. 5% off your order at Coffee Brand Coffee. I've ordered the French toast and I'm hoping to get that in. And the other one is Atlas VPN, where I can save you 80% through the holidays on a 2-year subscription. That's $44 for 2 years, unlimited devices. It's the VPN I use when I'm streaming my live feeds and when I'm here at the house. Other ways that you can do it, I have a membership down below. It's all tier based. Everyone has access to my Gilded server, which is just like Discord. Everyone, all the members, I should say, baseline and premium tier members are automatically entered into a giveaway that I try to do monthly on the Gilded server, and the premium guys have access to a sharpening tutorial series here on YouTube that you can only access if you're a premium member. And the final way is I have a merchandise store on Ember Shirt Co., where I've set up a coupon code that will save you 10% at checkout anywhere on Ember Shirt Co., my merchandise or other creators. And that coupon code is CrazySharp, all one word, capital C, capital S, CrazySharp, all one word, save you 10% at checkout. Guys, that's it. I love you all. Keep it clean in the comments section. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. And I will see you in the next video.